Brothers and sisters and friends, this afternoon we want to talk about the ballot or the bullet. The ballot or the bullet explains itself. We have a fight that's common to all of us. We suffer political oppression, economic exploitation, and social degradation. Today it's time to stop singing and start swinging.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Listening to First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
My name is Paul B. He's Buddy the God.
Hey.
Good morning to all of you joining us on this Monday, April 21st, 2025. Lots happening this morning. Lots happening over the weekend.
Yeah.
Appreciate everybody joining us again. Long day today, too. We got a 2-hour show today, actually. We have a special guest coming on, Brother Qasim, Brother Jakeen Fox on first hour, and then we will be in the Senator's Cypher in the second hour. So get ready for a jam-packed show this morning. Yeah. Good morning to all y'all. How you doing today, buddy?
Got a case of the Mondays a little bit.
Case of the Mondays. Okay.
A little bit. A little low energy, but glad to be here. As always, glad to be here. Top of the morning, everybody. I see Facebook, YouTube, chat checking in. So yeah. Top of the morning.
That's what's up.
How you doing, man? I know you under the weather a little bit.
Big time under the weather. Still should be underneath the covers right this minute.
Man.
Yeah, it's been
a comforter.
Yeah, man. Wrap the comforter around again.
Man.
Yeah, definitely under the weather. So please bear with me today. I just lost my voice last night. It just came back this morning. So I'm still in the throes of the flu or whatever it is I got going on over here. But luckily I can kind of just climb up to the chair and come do this. Because it's very important. Like I said, very important day to day. Good guests coming in to talk about some things that's going on the Deuce in particular. So if you guys have been following First Sky Omaha or the Friends of First Sky Omaha page on Facebook, a lot of activity over there. Big time activity. Kind of the most I've seen in a while. So these topics are really striking a chord, and there's conversations going on over there. And I appreciate that very much. So, we'll be diving into some of those things. But first and foremost, Mama God gives us a good morning, fam. Good morning.
Hey.
Sean McCarthy says, morning, everyone. Hope everyone had a decent weekend. Lady Keisha says, happy marvelous Monday to all. Black Dynamite in the chat saying, good morning, y'all. Marlon Harrison says, good morning, First Sky fam. Shows the strength. That's what's up. Heather Williams says, good morning, everyone. Black Dynamite said, it's definitely Monday. You feeling that Monday too, huh?
Man, you feeling it? You feeling it, man?
Yeah. Sean McCarthy says, thanks for pulling through, but focus on your health first and foremost, Paul. Well, yeah, I've been down since Thursday night, man. And I'm actually like getting a little nervous. Like I'm going to go ahead and hit the doctor probably today.
Man.
It's been lingering here for a little minute, and took everything just to clear out the lungs and stuff like that to be able to do this today. But like I said, I got no excuse. We said we're doing this rain or shine, sick or well, and it doesn't take much for me to climb up to the chair and get on here and get busy. So that's what we'll do, and I'll sleep the rest of the day. But I appreciate your concern for real. Kimber Snipes gives us a good morning. Pops in the chat, it's giving us a good morning. First Sky and Mad Love from Las Vegas. Appreciate you, Pops.
Okay.
Yeah, man. That's what's up. You guys are up as if it's not a Monday. You guys feeling the Monday?
Yeah. or as if y'all didn't go on any cookouts last night. You didn't, chill with the fam. What'd you do over the weekend? Let us know. It was a busy weekend. Easter weekend.
Was. Did you guys make it to Easter in the Village? Anybody go out to the Deuce? Love to hear about it. As a matter of fact, we'll jump into a few community updates because it does have to do with some of the things that went down over the weekend. Before we get into that, though, of course, we got to acknowledge a major death today. Pope Francis passed away this morning, and according to people in the church, he was a pretty progressive pope. A lot of change, a lot of things happened under his rule, I suppose. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next, who they pick next, how that'll change things. I know from firsthand experience, Rome and the Vatican has a lot of power still in the world, and it's very significant that this is happening. So,
man,
yeah. Pope Francis, first Latin Pope, passed away this morning. Also, this is the anniversary of my favorite artist of all time, passed away in 2016, Prince.
Man.
Today's the day, April 21st. He wrote a song called "Sometimes It Snows in April," and can't even listen to that song no more. It's so about what happened to him in a big way. So shout out Prince. I remember when he died in 2016. Man, everybody flooded the streets of Minneapolis, and I drove up, and it was I'm in the crowd in there somewhere.
Man.
Everybody singing all the songs, celebrating. Yeah, it was tough on everybody out there. So
Purple in the street.
yeah, people say when Prince died, after Prince died, nothing was the same after that. After 2016, yeah, rough. But we have lived on. We are living on now. We're trying to do the best we can. And as a matter of fact, going from people passing away to families being built. Man, shout out to brother Qasim. Brother Qasim
Hey.
proposed to his lady this weekend. Man, did a whole thing. Man, surprised her. It was probably about 100 people out there. We was out there chilling. I even showed up with a mask and kind of stood by the door for the first part of it, so I can make sure that I was there to be there and witness that with the brother. But yeah,
Man,
man,
okay.
did the whole thing, bro. Did the whole thing. So shout out to black families. Shout out to building black
Man.
families, man. You know what I'm saying? So and we'll be talking to him. He'll be a guest on the show a little later on in the show, so you can give him some congratulations when he comes on.
Definitely.
Also, he's going to be on with brother Jakeen. Jakeen Fox is coming on with him as well. So the brothers was out there that night too, and yeah, it was a positive night. It was love when positive nights and positive things in the community go on, and when people show up for the positive things, it's really awesome. So yeah, man, really proud of the brother for everything that he's been doing. We will definitely be talking to him when he comes on. See what see how he's feeling now that he's ready to be married.
Man, feeling like a new man.
New man. Wanda Lewis gives us a good morning. Pop says he was the most progressive pope I've seen in 70 years. Yep.
Yeah.
Most definitely. He wasn't there when I lived in Rome that time, Pops. He wasn't there yet. He hadn't been. We were still on the other pope, the previous pope, and I got to learn a lot about what goes on with the how much power they hold and all these things. And so yeah, it was kind of significant that he came in as a progressive pope. As far as as progressive as the Catholic Church can be.
Right. My thoughts exactly. Yeah.
But anyway, moving on. Just wanted to make sure that we gave a shout out to that because that's in the news heavy today. But also, yeah, like I said, shout out to brother Qasim. I love that. Also, something going on in the community. Sign up day at the Rib Shack. I don't know if you guys have been to the Rib Shack lately, but Rib Shack gets down, man. Beautiful black owned business. Love their food. Wednesday, April 23rd. It's an all day event. They want volunteers to come out and sign up for the May 4th event for the love of barbecue. So this is going to be interesting too, man. Here's a little bit about For the Love of Barbecue, a humanity service movement. Mission: spreading love through barbecue, using power of barbecue to bridge gaps, bring communities together, and serve those in need. We are committed to feeding the homeless, raising community awareness, inspiring change, offering mentorship, and educating our community. Their vision is a humanity-centered movement dedicated to empowering and inspiring people to experience the joy and fulfillment that comes from giving and serving others. That's what's up.
Okay.
Shout out to the Rib Shack, man. So you can join them. The Rib Shack is at 10841 Q Street.
The Rib Shack.
The Rib Shack. Yeah, man. They get down. Food. So you can sign up. Sign up day opportunities include food sponsorship, corporate sponsors, and nonprofit sponsors. You can sign up if you're an organization, or just sign up to volunteer for the love of barbecue. Let's get it going for the Rib Shack. They get down.
Man, for the love of barbecue. I like that. Everybody love barbecue.
Everybody love barbecue.
Yeah, man. Feeding the body and the soul.
Yeah, that's what's up. Really appreciate that. Also, a lot of people came out to the Andre Wells celebration. Andre Wells, if you remember, Sherman Wells, what is his nephew? I think it's his nephew. Yeah. He saved somebody from a burning car. They awarded him. They gave him an award, and a lot of folks came out. The fire department, some police came out. I see John Ewing out there. I see Brother Leo Lewis out there. So, some folks showed up. Head showed up. Appreciate that. And of course, Brother Sherman Wells right there in the middle and his family. So that's what's up, man. To honor a young man who did a brave thing, ran into a burning car, pulled somebody else, saved their life. They said the fire department trying to hit him up like, you need a job?
Hey.
He's on
Hey.
another mission, but yeah, be nice.
Man, just spring in action that day. That firefighter life ain't for the weak, man. That's crazy schedule, crazy.
You ain't lying, bro. You ain't lying. Jump back to the chat real quick. Marlon Harrison said Pope Francis condoned and called out the abuse in the Catholic Church. Yeah, he did a whole bunch of calling out, and he tried to really kind of circumvent the bureaucracy there as well too. He's trying to dilute it some and make things a little different. So yeah, he got a few things that people are going to be speaking highly about him for.
Yeah.
Michelle Moreno says, "Good morning. Thanks. Conversation with Cheryl Weston for the reminder." What's the reminder? Did I miss that?
Nah, I think she was just saying Michelle Western, telling a friend to tell a friend, come on through.
Right on. Yeah, appreciate that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Michelle Moreno gives us a good morning. Good morning to you. RG says, top of the morning on Monday, y'all. Top of the Monday. That's what's up.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
Top of the Monday.
Monday. We'll talk about some more community events and news and haps coming up later on in the show. Again, this is the day that we're doing the 2-hour show. First hour, we'll have Brother Qasim and we'll have Brother Jakeen coming for the first hour. They're going to come through and talk about some things that's going on the Deuce right now. The protection of the Deuce is probably going to be the topic of conversation there, and responding to some things that was said in Friends of First Sky Omaha. Like I said, this is the week that Friends of First Sky Omaha kind of expanded in a big way, and the conversations over there got deep. And then, of course, we'll be looking for the Senator Cypher a little bit later on in the second hour as well. I believe Senator Terrell McKinney's coming through. I think Senator Ashley Spivey might not be able to make it today, but we will talk to Senator Terrell McKinney, put some respect on their names in the second hour. And with that, let's go ahead and talk about the topics of the day. What's going on today, buddy? What's top of your mind?
Matt, thanks for phrasing it that way. It's a couple things on top of my mind. Thinking about our own thoughts. I do appreciate that, and just thinking about still over the weekend. Of course, a lot of festivities going down out here in Atlanta over the weekend, but things jumped off in Omaha as well. Of course, we had Easter in the Village. Still want to know if anybody went. Did you get down? Did you go check out the Deuce? Also, while you were down there, did you catch the last day of Field of Lilies? So shout out to the Union for Contemporary Arts, Sister Lily Stennis Vincent. Yeah, getting down. So a lot of activity on the Deuce, man. I'm very, very excited to see that continue to grow. And big shout out to everybody down on the Deuce, getting down, man. So yeah, let us know if you made it out there, or if you didn't, what did you do over the weekend, especially for Easter, the family coming together, the babies coming out. Yeah. Let us know how it went. Also, really quickly, this has absolutely nothing to do with anything that we will be talking about today. But again, top of my mind, I'm seeing a lot about the Sinners movie. I'm actually pretty excited about that. Yeah. Come on, Paul. Yeah, man. Ryan Coogler Sinners, man. I'm seeing a lot in the community, in the culture, social media buzzing about this film. Did you go see it? A great way to spend your weekend. Anybody go see it? Thoughts on that? How you feeling about that? Yeah.
I was this close to just going ahead and double dosing on the cold medicine and trying to go take a blanket and go watch it.
In the corner.
I wanted to see it so bad. But I did spend the weekend watching all the drop. They did a drop for this movie that was so heavy, man. I watched the whole documentary on this cat explaining the film and how they shot this on 70 millimeter and what the whole thing was about. Man, for a tech head, power. This brother right here, bro. Okay, he's officially my top 3 filmmakers.
Man, like in this day and age of streaming, you know what I mean? Like to actually give an excuse to go back into the theater and like to have that ideology of creating the theater experience. I've been hearing about it. RG, me too, man. Been hearing about it all weekend. Great things, and I'm excited. We love films, especially films that have a cultural commentary aspect to it. I'm hearing there's some, reading between the lines. Y'all know how we get down, man. Hey. So yeah, I'm excited about that.
Yeah, me too. I can't wait to see
it. Yeah. But also, on the flip side, we do have some things to talk about today. Public safety is kind of the topic of the day. And I do want to first start by, I'll share my thoughts a little later on, but as far as the Pope dying situation, it's sad situation, but it's still the Catholic Church. It's the Vatican, man. Yeah, don't get me started on the history of the Vatican. Yeah. But rest in peace to the Pope. Big shout out to everybody who is sharing their thoughts on that. Continue to share your thoughts in the chat. Let your mind be free. Let your voice be heard. And of course, join the conversation on several things that we'll be diving in today. I do want to talk about some of the tragic deaths in traffic that's been happening. Again, public safety is something that we'll be talking about. And just briefly, man, just please, as I was preparing for, I've seen too many articles about deaths in traffic and just too many to not comment on it, man. Please drive safely. Please drive safely out there. Get to where you're going in one piece. Mama God taught me about defensive driving. Please make sure that you're not only driving for yourself, but driving for those on the road. Again, I'm seeing too many accidents leading to deaths, too many reports about that. And we'll have to find something to address that because something got to be done, man.
Some bad drivers in Omaha, Nebraska. I'm gonna tell you what,
man.
I think it's not even hard. I think it's not even all Omaha, Nebraska's fault or the people's fault. I think it is the city's. There's a bunch of stuff going on in the city and a bunch of ways the streets are and stuff like that make no sense and lend towards all kinds of crazy accidents. There's a bunch of factors involved here. I feel like coming from California and learning how to drive in California. It's a different world out here for real.
Man, yeah, Sister Camera. Yeah, I'm glad you're okay. Again, even hitting close to home. One of our own just got into an accident. She says it's someone who just told her own car, please be careful. Please. And again, we had our candidate interviews a couple of weeks ago, and one that jumped out to me, I believe, was Amy Melton, who made the comparison of, traffic safety and saying that that's a part of public safety as well. So again, definitely continue that conversation and just thinking of them in the mind of public safety. So definitely want to address that and also dive into a little conversation as far as the public safety meeting, traffic stop. Speaking of traffic, again, the community, the family of Brother Stephen Phipps Jr., we'll be having a traffic stop seminar in connection with also Brother Leo Lewis, the second, who's been doing a lot of work in the community. But I would love to hear your thoughts on that. Again, this is a seminar that is educating people about what to do in a traffic stop, your rights and wrongs and things like that. So we'd definitely love to dive into and hear your thoughts on that. And then, of course, speaking of public safety, talking about protecting the deuce and what's really going on, man. Again, Paul, I know you were down there, kind of shared your thoughts on Friday. We spoke to the sister Lakeisha Green about her thoughts and, whether or not she felt safe following a vandalism incident on the deuce. But again, we're going to talk to our community security expert, Brother Qasim, and also Jakeen B. Sangin coming through a little later on in the show as well, to have that conversation and get their take. As I understand, they were there as well. So again, I said all that to say we got a lot to talk about. We'll be here for the next 2 hours. Of course, the Senator Cypher in the next hour. There's been some major decisions out of the Supreme Court in regards to the parole situation, still looking at criminal justice reform, kind of connected to the public safety conversation. So, all that and more throughout the next 2 hours. As always, if there's anything on your hearts and minds, feel free to drop that in the chat. In the meantime, between time, I know I went a little long, but Paul B.
Yo.
What you got to say, man?
Man, just want to remind everybody. Well, first of all, good morning to Stacy McLean Honeycutt. She's reminding us that still missing the 3 girls in the Missouri River.
Yep.
Krishna going BYOB, Leo Lewis II, and Sir Wayne hosting one-on-one interaction with traffic stops. Okay, you got some information there. Appreciate that very much. But yes, the mother of one of the missing girls, LaShawna Jones, is still in the news and is not losing hope. Once feels like they're still out there. And I was interested to see whether or not they had are they continuing the search. And as of this morning, they are continuing the search. So they haven't given up quite yet. And I am feeling some kind of way about it. I feel like they actually are all the law enforcement, all the organizations are really, really trying to find these young ladies and spending more time than I thought they might trying to find them. So they still meet every day as far as what I'm understanding, to decide whether or not their efforts have been, they've done all they can do, and apparently they feel like they can still do some more, and they are doing that. So shout out,
yeah. Shout out.
Oh, Crestline's going BYOB. Okay, yeah, got it. Mark Manor in the chat says Omaha drivers use one word when driving: entitlement. Yep, lots
It's
of talk.
bad like that, huh?
It's a little bad. And he's a bike rider too, so I can't imagine being out there on a bike
Man,
in that traffic. So yeah, tough stuff. We'll talk about it when we get back. Again, you're listening to First Sky Omaha in the morning.
in the morning.
My name is Paul B. He's Buddy the God. Stay tuned, y'all. Be right
Hey.
back.
Lead poisoning in children under 7 is scary, but it's also 100% preventable. Not only can lead be found in paint and soil, it can be found in many common spices, certain baby foods, and brought home from job sites. Children with lead poisoning might not show any symptoms until their levels are dangerously high. So ask your healthcare provider for a lead test for your child. You can help prevent lead poisoning in children. Brought to you.
Shout out to the Douglas County Health Department. Shout out to Precious McKesson over at the Democratic Party as well. She's giving us information coming up, reminding us elections are coming up. Lincoln May 6th, Omaha May 13th. And of course, you know who is up now that we're past the primaries. Interesting race going on in District 2 with Ben Gray and Lavanya Goodwin. Of course, John Ewing is looking good as far as the mayoral race is concerned. And everybody's really anxious for him to be the next mayor in our community in a big way. So shout out to her for providing some of this information. Polls open May 6th at 8 o'clock. Of course, early voting starts today. It's April 21st. You can go in person at 601 North 46th Street in Lincoln. This is for Lincoln. And you can, and it starts by mail today as well. So if you got that mail ballot and you want to go ahead and mail it back in person, you can do that today now. I believe this is the one for Omaha. So yeah, check your polling location as well. A lot of people called saying that they were their polling place had changed than from last time. So you gotta definitely check that out before you go. But also, early voting will start. Which is, I'm looking at, a little confused here about which one this is. So this early voting starts April 28th. Which is this for?
Omaha.
This is for Omaha. So it doesn't start today. So April 28th is when this starts for us as far as early voting is concerned. So right on. Appreciate that. And I appreciate her for sharing the information with us and trying to get people out. As Precious says, if your vote didn't count, then they wouldn't try so hard to suppress it.
Man.
Yeah. Real talk. Ballot and the bullet season right now is going down.
There you go.
In the meantime, between time, I'll go ahead and throw it to you, buddy. Well, let's go ahead and fire up the conversation. What is it we're talking about today?
Yeah, I actually wanted to tee up the conversation talking about this traffic stop conversation, and shout out to the family of Stephen Phipps Jr. for, first of all, keeping his name alive and trying to turn such a tragic situation into something that will benefit the greater good. Again, the idea behind this class is to inform individuals out there about their rights when dealing with traffic stops, about their rights with police encounters. Also, guidance on registration, video tag or vehicle tags. Excuse me. I believe that was the incident in the Stephen Phipps Jr. situation. He was put over for tags and ultimately led to him losing his life rather unnecessarily. And there were some comments on Friends of First Sky as far as people kind of not really getting the point, and I do understand that, given the conversation between or just the history of the relationship between the community and police. There's been some conversation about how to just completely decline, incidents and reasons for traffic stops altogether. There are, reports and data out there as far as traffic violations and traffic stops, leading to increased police encounters, which thus has a tendency to lead to police brutality situations, unfortunately. And in Omaha, as other reports are coming out, it looks like things may be actually going in the other direction. Again, we've talked about earlier as far as the incline. It seems like an increase in deadly accidents and traffic incidents, and there's also been reports on top of that how it seems like the police are responding as far as street racing. Again, I'm seeing many reports on cracking down on street racing, cracking down on drivers, cracking down on high customized performance cars, things like that, which again sounds like an increase in police interactions. So again, just wanted to open up the floor. Again, this is a space for the community to share your thoughts. What do we think about this community, I guess, class, you can call it? Again, community advocates Leo Lewis II, and also our brother Sir Wayne Wardlaw. I'm not familiar with him, but he will also be accompanying the family for this. He also says, I mean, if we were born and raised in North Omaha, you're going to have family and friends that may have interacted with the system in a negative way. So those become our perspectives, unfortunately. And it looks like the idea is again to correct some of that, maybe change the directions. But Paul, coming from LA, Rodney King, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, I think. Well, first of all, I think it's really interesting what you just talked about as far as the street racing is concerned. I did see something where they said right now all they can really give them is a speeding ticket, and they want to give them jail time and a bunch of other stuff if they get caught with that. I can't remember how many people got injured or killed with the street racing. I do remember there was a high speed accident. I don't think it was somebody racing though. It was just somebody who was driving down 10th Street at high speed and killed some folks.
I think alcohol was involved in that one.
Right. Yeah. I think there should be some crackdowns on a lot. I was very surprised when I got in town here and realized there was no law on cell phones. Growing up in California, the cell phone law changed in the '90s. You can't be on your cell phone in traffic at all in California. So there's some things here that I definitely think, like I said, and like I was saying earlier, I feel like the layout of the city and some of the streets and some of the things that go on there are to blame on some of these things. I think they're to blame with some of these things. So yeah, I can see a need to figure out what to do. I don't ever like the idea of there needing to be more police crackdown, police action on these things. Although, if you can say the one area where police can prevent something, it is if they see if somebody's driving crazy, they can stop that. So I don't know. I think it's a bigger conversation. There's a lot here. I definitely feel like this is a when I think about stuff like the streetcar coming, and all these other things that they're trying to do around town. I stood there and watched the Orbit bus situation once, and was realizing like how many people ride, how many people were trying to go talk to a couple people about where they were going and how they had to get there with the Orbit every day. This is a big conversation. I'm actually really glad that Clarice Dombeck is in that position now. I can't remember the name of the position, but they got a whole thing together now to address transit.
Yeah, Metro Transit Authority.
There you go. I think it was a good move. I hope they can, they're putting some people on it to be able to have some ideas and some influence on what can be changed and done. Great. And yeah, I think training definitely. Definitely, I got to put it on the people as well. It's not just the city and not just the layout, but it is how people drive, and some of the laws and some of the things they have to do with it. So, Miss Cheryl Weston's in the chat right now. Good morning. Says training. Why we get training on how to interact with those that whip, traumatize, verbally, physically abuse, and kill us again. The problem is placed upon us.
Okay.
So you're talking about the situation, Brother Phipps.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. True. Yeah, I guess I said all that as a precursor because I feel like we got to do what we got to do first. But then, yes, if we still are getting pulled over, It's a tough one, man, because I understand the sentiment. I was taught how to speak to the cops. I definitely had the talk of like, this is how you got to interact when you get pulled over. Make sure that you ain't riding dirty, you're all legit, all the
Mhm.
things. But we've seen over time, of course, that doesn't mean that you're not gonna end up in trouble, or you're not gonna end up hurt, as we see in this case. So, first of all, can we figure out how we can have less interaction in traffic, that would cause us to be pulled over. But can we also have some police reform so that we don't always are
Mhm.
getting, it's not always on us to have to navigate our life each time. It's kind of where I'm at on that. So,
No, I'm
so,
picking up what you're putting
you know what
down,
I'm
man.
saying?
It's kind
I'm
of a catch-22.
definitely catch 22. I'm a little foggy brain this morning again. Not feeling well. Been sick all weekend. Sick today. Please allow me some space. Trying to get my thought together around. I'm realizing I'm going too far with it, but yes, my thought is, that we need that training should be involved. I think training should be involved, but I also don't think that, like Mr. Cheryl Weston is saying, it's not all our responsibility. There's other people. We can do all the training in the world. We still don't need to be fearing for our lives every time we get pulled over or whatever. So, you know, I see someone in the chat, Donnell Sessions. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Good
it's a
morning.
new name. New name.
Yeah, so we are over policed and it's awful. I feel sorry for anyone that thinks it's normal to go in other areas of the city. You see no police. Very true.
Hey, man.
Very true. Appreciate
It's
that. Hmm.
no, it's a real thing as far as what Donnell is saying. Some areas you don't see any police at all.
Right. One more comment here. Anthony Rogers Rice says Philando Castile, which is the brother who had a legal firearm that he was trying to show the police when he got pulled over in Minneapolis. He said he's complied and was shot in front of his woman and daughter. So yeah, you can do all the things and do them right and still be in trouble. I'd like to see what our special guest, has to say on some of these things. He's waiting in the wings right now, ladies and gentlemen. Without further ado, brother Jakeen be singing. Jakeen Fox in the chat. Good morning. Good morning.
I always laugh every time you say that. That's so funny to me, but I
Hey,
appreciate it.
you
How
do
are
be
y'all this
singing.
morning?
You
I
do be
do.
singing.
It definitely is factual. It's definitely factual. So I won't deny it. It is funny though.
Man.
How
I
are
heard
y'all
you.
this
Yeah.
morning?
I heard you hit them Maxwell notes the other night. You
Every now
got up
and
there
then,
with it.
I had to hit one of these. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But
yeah. See. Always good to see you, brother. Always good to see you.
yeah,
And actually, I'm glad you jumped into the conversation that we're having because you're one of the comments on this class that kind of jumped out to me. And I would say I have to agree with you to a certain extent. Also agree with my man Paul. It's kind of a catch-22 as far as interacting with the police because you don't want to escalate, but the people aren't always the ones escalating. And your comment on that was again, this class is going to teach us to comply. I don't get it, basically. So again, could you expound on that as far as this police training class and your thoughts?
yeah. From my own perspective, I think about how often we have to give up our humanity in every situation, or any of our dignity in order to survive. And I think this is what there isn't much else that can really be said if we're acting in reality. There's not much more I can be taught about my interactions with police that that doesn't make me forego some part of my dignity in order to stay alive, when the onus should be on police to not overreact, to have some kind of self-discipline, some kind of bravery and courage that they all espouse to have, but are anytime they do something wrong to us, it's because they're in fear. If you are that afraid, you don't need to be a police officer. And I think there's an opportunity for us to say that more, as opposed to saying, negotiate the fact that you will feel less than in every interaction with police in order to continue your day over things like expired tags or a random stop. Those things
Mhm.
don't warrant death, and they never will. And there's no negotiation of that I think affirms our humanity in any way. So I'm not exactly sure what they would be teaching in this class. I think we all get the talk. I think we all understand. We've had copious amounts of examples of what
Well,
happens when we express our dignity in front of a police officer. Go ahead.
let me jump in there because that's what I'm thinking is that we haven't all had the talk.
Hmm.
We have young boys don't always get to talk. I think that there is ways that they some basics there, and believe me, I feel like you feel about it, especially like when Buddy asked me, like, coming from California, this is definitely how I feel about it, Rodney King, so on. But what I'm understanding is that from the family member of Brother Phipps thinks that this is something that is needed. Brother Leo Lewis thinks it's something that is needed. And if I ask, like, where is this needed? Because these are people that have interacted with the cops, have family members that pass by the cops. They're still saying we need a little bit of uh, uh, training on how to deal. And I think that we know how to deal, but I think that sometimes, like, young folks don't. Everybody hasn't gotten to talk. They're trying to start somewhere and keep it in the zeitgeist is what I feel like is happening with this class. But I fully agree with you on that. On it is the we don't
I
we
think I
don't
think the I think the way the talk happens may be different. It might not be
Hmm.
from father to son or, mother to daughter, but we are getting the talk in our social messaging. You see every time in this conversation that police get away with killing you. That's the talk. You know what
right.
I mean? And I think we should stop underestimating our youth and the messages that they receive. I think we should take some time and, pull from the courage and the dignity that they show themselves a lot of times, which is that my life is important and that I may disobey in order to save that. And I know there's some negotiation there and maybe some communication that we have to have as a community. But I don't think it's to affirm the violence of police by saying it's up to us to understand how to interact with them. The reality
Yeah.
is, if they want to do this, they will.
Right. True that. Brother Kasim is in the chat. We're going to go ahead and bring him in right on time as well. Good morning, Brother Kasim. How you doing?
What's happening? What's happening, fellas? What's good?
Man,
Man,
first of
man.
all, congratulations, bro.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Yes, sir.
we let
Man.
Thank
we let everybody know at the top of the show what went down the other day. So we celebrating the black family, black love,
you.
Man.
and
Happy for you.
I love the fact that so many people came out to celebrate with you.
Appreciate it, man. Thank y'all, man. Thank y'all for pulling up. Jakeen, man, I love you and appreciate you, man. You stood by me the whole time and aided and assisted with everything. Even calmed me down right before the process. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
the
Appreciate y'all,
brothers
man.
is out there too, man, looking fly,
Man, looking clean. Looking clean.
clean, doing the thing, man. I appreciate y'all. Hey,
No.
we're right in the middle of this discussion real quick on this situation with the class and the police. There's a class that is going to be put out there by the family of Brother Phipps that passed away and some other folks on how to interact with the police. And I don't know if you heard much of that, but I kind of want your thoughts on that too, because I know that you have special ideas on how it is we are supposed to conduct ourselves around police and what we can do. What's your thoughts on this subject?
So I came in a little late. Can you give me the entities that are hosting it, the FIPS and who else?
Yeah, I have the details here. This is coming out of KMTV3 News, who did the report. Shout out to Melissa Wright doing the good work.
Yo,
Okay.
But this is the Phipps family, also in connection with the Omaha Police Department. Also Leo Lewis II, brother Leo Lewis, and a Sir Wayne Wardlow, which I'm not familiar with him. But essentially this whole class, and shout out to Sister Honeycutt McLean, who's actually will be hosting this. This will be at the Central Gathering Place on May 23rd. But the sessions will include presentations from Omaha Police on how traffic stops are conducted. Attorneys will also explain individuals' rights in traffic stops, and there will be guidance on registration and vehicle tags for individuals as well.
So I think that is necessary.
Okay.
Listening to it, I guess I wouldn't want white police officers in the room. That would be one thing that I would exit out of if that's the situation. But as far as that taking place by them, I think that it's necessary. I think that there should be more of it. I'm not going to give. I'm taking my biases and I'm putting them to the side because I feel like the benefit of it, if there's a large enough outcome, outweighs personal biases about it. But I think that it needs to happen, and I think more of it needs to take place.
Man, big time, big time. And and I'm going to pivot into some other things that we're here to talk about, but this is all connected as far as the relationship and between the community and the police, and whether the community polices itself in lieu of the police or in tandem with the police. What does that all look like? And how do we build this relationship? Because I definitely feel like it should be a communication. Like this should be a conversation. I do agree that this is something that is necessary, especially from the Phipps family. My mom has had conversations with me, being the mother of a young black boy, just feeling afraid, with me going out with the homies just on an off day, you know what I mean? And having that conversation and seeing that fear in her eyes, I understood what it was. But not all boys have that. Not all young folk in general have that conversation. So I do think the community should host something like this, but it should be a conversation, not just a presentation from the police and them telling us how we should act. But hopefully the police will also listen to us and our perspectives in these types of events. But I did again want to pivot into what we actually are here to talk to you two about, as far as the incident going down at the Union. And again, public safety is the general conversation. I do know that the police was there, but it seemed like you guys kind of had it under control. Or can you kind of just first of all explain your perspective on what happened and just the safety aspect of keep the community keeping itself protected?
So can I pivot just back for like 5 seconds?
Please,
So
yeah.
so the whole thing, as far as the police and stuff like that go, man. The only thing that they can do, and the only thing that the Omaha Police Department can do, and one of the things that we're preparing ourselves for, is to begin to push the white police officer out of North Omaha. He has no place in North Omaha. Like I tell you all the time, he from Bellevue and Elkhorn and Papillion and this place and that place, and we have probably a 90-something% white oversee that are taught and raised to be superior. Taught that we're inferior, and they come down here with an attitude of happiness and joy. They love doing what they do. I've seen them do it. I've seen them provoke situations. Even in the Phipps case, in the Phipps situation, I think that was a personal attack. See what I'm saying? There's no other reason for a legal gun owner to take off like that. I'm not going to speak too much, but I think there's a lot of personal beef between black citizens in the community, because I was one of them with particular police officers. One of the names you heard often was people like Bowler and Red and the different characters who would and these things are still carrying on. So I just think that I kind of want to backpedal a little bit. So in the that would be my only request for this particular meeting. I may just show up and say that myself, depending on what the timing is like, that we need to work on a process and getting black boys put in a position to become police officers in their own community. Because I can't go out there. We can't have a 90% black police force in West Omaha or other white areas. They would never accept it. They would never allow it. And we've adjusted to these things in our subconsciousness, because that's what we're used to seeing as if it's okay, and it's not okay.
Man,
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
And then the question, as far as the antagonist stuff that we're dealing with down at the Union, is that what you guys are touching on? Could you just frame that question one more time for me?
Yeah. Actually, I'll respond to what you just said and then frame it for you, because that's the context of this conversation. As far as what you just said, as far as the community policing itself and individuals from the community policing the community, going back to the whole conversation and the catch-22 that I think Paul was trying to express is, while yes, it is upon the citizen. You might want to turn your phone down, brother Jakeen. But yes, while it's upon the citizens, for us to know our rights, to not, to know to show our hands and not do things that will inherently make police scared, because we know that they're already coming from a fear perspective, or at least want to do what they're doing as far as the brutality, which in some cases, let's just be real, like that is the case. And we have to also acknowledge that as well. Like, you can do everything right and still get brutalized. You can do everything right and still just get beat up. I mean, we've all experienced it. So definitely a catch-22, and why I wanted to talk to you two about what you're doing and that incident, as far as what happened at the union. We talked about it on Friday. There was an incident where individuals came sprayed. I mean, Paul, you can probably break it down a little better. You were there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, on Thursday night, I believe it was Thursday night, or no, it was Wednesday night. Some people came and gathered themselves together on 24th Street, and proceeded to do a campaign of going up and down the street with chalk and marking the street on both sides of the street of the Union. This is in conjunction with what's going on with the vitriol against the ED, who is, they feel like she's done something wrong here in the firings and want her out. But this is what they ended up doing. They ended up putting her name on the street, all the way up the street, as you can see, all the way up to the corner. Also, in front of the building, across the street, they made the people inside, including Lakeisha Green, the executive director, feel like they were unsafe. I got a call. I made a few calls, and and we all went down and met with her. By the time I got there, the police was there, and they were just saying they can't really do much. But they took all the information down, and at that night, we all decided to have a meeting the next day, and we all got together and came back the next day at about 11 o'clock. And while we were sitting there having that meeting, which is the picture I showed here, we were having a meeting talking about how to make sure that we keep these people inside the building safe, and what to do about somebody coming thinking they can come to 24th Street and do this. Somebody came and did it again while we were sitting there. We watched him out the window, and he came through, and he had already marked up parts of the street up the street. Came back down. He was somebody that was identified. The brothers went outside and kind of pushed him off, rushed him off, and he went away. But he's been identified, and he's been in the chat. He's been in Friends of First Sky Omaha, coming back and saying things. So this is kind of where we left off, and we know that you guys wanted to respond to that. So if you would, I know Jakeen wanted to say some words. This is somebody who you were able to identify, and he came on with that. I just want to hear what you have to say about it.
Yeah, I want to first say that we're not new to this kind of behavior in our community. We see a legacy of white men that believe that they can find some kind of purchase in our community, that creates standing for them in other communities because they feel powerless in their own. And most often they are. We see this in conversations, in political conversations, about the anxieties that white men experience and what causes them to be violent, and what causes them to be intimidators and antagonists to our communities because they feel that we're getting something that they don't. And this is one of the first examples in Omaha, Nebraska, of a Black woman coming into an organization and being very clear that the folks that were in the organization currently did not have the ability, the connections to community, or the means to be able to amplify and engage in the mission, which is Black people being in the arts. And so if you aren't able to complete the job of the mission, you rightfully should not be part of the organization. And so we saw with all of the strife and community resistance to what was happening at the union beforehand, that they were not ever able to complete that mission under the previous leadership, or just from their own perspectives as white people, mixed people with identity issues, all of those kind of things. They had a hard time understanding what it meant to be in community with Black people, and that was not the organization for them. It's not our job to figure out how to engage with white people that come into our communities. It's their job to understand whether they belong or not. And
So
so, go
go
ahead.
ahead. Well,
Yeah,
I just want to jump in because I want to make sure that we're not speaking for the union. Miss
right.
Lucretia Green has come on to talk about this situation, and she will talk about it more, and we will be talking about it more. As a matter of fact, someone that was a previous employee hit us up, and we invited her to come on, so we'll be talking to her as well. So what I'm concerned with, well, not what I'm concerned with, what I feel like is the actual story here for us, being outside of the Union for Contemporary Art, is the fact that these people thought they can come down to North 24th Street and do what they want.
Yeah,
Uh,
I understand where you're coming from. I want to make
Mhm.
sure that we understand the history of what causes people to come to a violent means when they
Oh
feel
yeah.
like they're not getting what they want.
Oh sure. Yeah.
And most people are progressive until a black person tells them no. That's actually the true litmus test of progressivism. If a black person tells you to stop, if a black person tells you no in their own community, that's the test of progressivism. Will you or won't you? Will you respect the black opinion in our own spaces, or will you encroach on those? And we saw what that was. So I wanted to make that clear that there's a legacy to this behavior. There's a history, a violent history to this behavior, and this is just another antagonist in that long lineage of violence and intimidation. So I want to make that clear that this is not a new thing. This is not an isolated incident. It's a generational curse that that community experiences, and that they
Mm.
need to do their own internal work to rid themselves of. So I had to say that. But in this experience, yes, I did know the person. They have been in some organizing circles. Um, but again, never at the level that I think that they want to be. And I think this was an intentional decision to, again, with black people who have the juice, in our community being a topic of discussion almost always in white communities, this was a way for them to find some relevancy and to elevate their own position. So I found the video to be quite their video in this chat to be quite transparent and disingenuous.
So,
Um,
so
yeah,
those of you that haven't seen the video, it's on Friends of First Sky Omaha. The individual that we're talking about came on to Friends of First Sky Omaha to shoot a video to say what he did, and what he didn't do. The stuff that stood out to me was this idea that they were doing this pressure campaign. And my question was, why do you feel like you got to do a pressure campaign in the first place? I think it's crazy that they feel like they need to pressure somebody to step down from a position when they have no connection to that position at all, have no connection to the place at all. For those of you that have been following this story with us, that we've been talking about the union. Some of those people in that union were previous employees. Nobody in this group that Jakeen was talking about were previous employees. This is a whole nother group
exactly.
that are trying there that have come in to try to, I guess, help the union by doing these pressure campaigns, which one of them is to I guess go there every day and write on the street. But again, my it goes back to me, and I'm gonna throw it over to brother Qasim here with this one. It goes back to what I'm asking, which is, first of all, like why would anybody think they can come to North Omaha and do this, whatever their reason is or whatever their campaign is, and more importantly, how did us as a community have to step up here, and what do we have to do to protect what we need to protect as far as our community is concerned? These black women that work in this building, the union, and everything else that's happening. Brother Kasim, what's your thoughts on this?
So basically, man, we just had a whole seminar um centered around teaching black women how to protect themselves, right? We just did it. And it's one of the things that we stand true to. Like Jakeen said, the history of white men and black women, the history of white people in general, but being antagonizers. And then when they don't get what they want, it becomes something entirely different. So the men of the community have chosen to step up and give this sister protection because of what we witnessed even in that space and time. I don't care about anything in between. I don't care about what she did. There's ways to handle things instead of being tall, whatever, intimidating white man. I don't get to come to your home. I don't get to go to West Omaha and with chalk and write shit all over the pavement, referring to white women and attacking white black people. Don't get to do those things. Okay, we don't get to do those things. So there will be consequences and repercussions based in that if I chose to do that. You understand what I'm saying? And so then the other part is for me, it's like, I mean, that's what we're here to do, man. So everybody's not playing these little games. This is something we've been going through since the beginning. You
Man.
know, since our existence in America. And then so this is what it is. You know what I mean? Ain't no shit. We ain't ducking no crashes, no none of that. Ain't got nothing to do with the union. This has everything to do with you guys being antagonizers and antagonizing a black woman and all this little pressure campaign and all that. Shit, sweet till it ain't. You know what I
You,
mean? I'm gonna leave it there.
you know what
Because
I'm
I
gonna
think
say?
our pressure looks different in response, and I think that's what we want people to understand.
Yeah,
That
don't get
I
scared
think
and
that
run the face. Don't get scared and run the
yeah,
Facebook and make videos and all that. Don't get scared. Do that shit. You know what I mean? What you crying for? I hate when that's to me. I'm sorry. I know I can't cuss too much, man, but that's you know what I'm saying. Come on,
Mm-hmm.
man. Don't run to Facebook with your shit now and
And,
crying and shit.
and here's the
Own
other
your
part.
shit.
Right, own it. Here's the other part of that too is that the reason why
Motherfucker.
this thing is we're talking about these things in a big way because of the fact that this is not just about the Union for
exactly.
Contemporary Art. This is the block. Brother Dana Murray came up from Noma. Katie Rain has a office across the street.
Man.
Idle Vitals right behind the theater. There's people on the block there that felt like, what is going on?
Hmm.
It's like that to me is the point of that part.
Yeah,
There's ways that the people who were from my understanding, some of these previous employees were disgruntled and they took this thing legally. That didn't work out for them. There was no wrongdoing. There was the labor board and all these people said there was no wrongdoing on her part. So if they can't do anything about this legally, they feel like the next step is to, I guess, get with these outer organizations to do what they're calling a pressure campaign.
Applying
That's
pressure.
wild. That's wild. That's wild to me.
yeah.
I can.
And again, it's historical.
I was
This
just
is not
man.
new. This is not
I'm just
new.
gonna
This
say
is
that.
how they operate. And I think what they're experiencing and why they need to use social media in this way is because they're experiencing a pushback that they didn't expect. They expected black people to get on board with this idea of pressure and unionizing. And we understand that a union has yet to serve black people in that way, especially specifically in Omaha. We said that a union that they've created is made up of almost all white people. So again, the tools and the messaging is totally disconnected from the reality of the situation. They want to use our words and pervert our black icons and pervert that in a way that they think will garner them sympathy that we don't have anymore. We're tired of these attacks on our communities. And this is not, they try to shrink the issue, they try to isolate it. But
Mhm.
we, as thinking people, have to make sure that we understand this is just another tick on that line of what we should find intolerable.
Yeah,
And so there's no one. It could have been the Pope, rest in peace. If the Pope would have came into our community and tried to decide who leads our organizations, our organizations meant to serve us, we would have stood in that same spot, and we would have escorted them out of that same spot, because there is no intimidation that we will allow. There's no conversation that can happen that would make me say, oh, okay, continue to harass this woman. That makes sense. There's nothing you could say. There's no lie you can tell. There's no truth you can twist.
yeah,
We will not accept it, and you
And
will
while you
not
come
do it.
and while you coming down there reciting what Martin said, some of us follow Malcolm. I want you to know that. I didn't agree with the teachings of Martin with Martin. So you can recite, you can say whatever you want to say. All right. There's other ways to get things accomplished, but there will be no antagonizing of black women. All right. I don't care
yeah,
who you tell, I don't care who you run to. We don't care about those things. I don't care about the position. I don't care about any of those things. We talking about white men antagonizing black women, antagonizing black people, period. What we look like a black man on 24th Street, allowing that shit to come through there like that. You know what I mean? You're gonna have to sit down somewhere, man, and figure out another way.
That's the key. I think there's a lot of points missing. Like I said, we're going to have somebody from a previous employee on if she agrees, and anybody else who wants to really come on, because I don't mind bringing somebody on and having this conversation. I think that the situation they're looking at is so, every time I hear anything or see anything, it's so, they're trying to control this narrative that is so crazy to me. Like the brother on the dude on the video said something about the gay community, you know, the other communities really want this union, and totally missing this point that yes, we want all the communities there, but it's just rooted in North Omaha and the black community, and it's there for the black community. This is what this is about, and you know, and even when they speak on diversity, if I feel like they're missing the point, they're missing the whole point.
They're not missing the point. That is wholly intentional. It is an intentional appeal to sympathy, which will create division between two communities who have more in common than they do differently. And as someone who has who lives in both of those communities, I really resent. I find that offensive
Mm.
to try to pit those two communities against each other. And infactual about the work that I've done. I've never been employed by the union, which is, you know, again, an example of how this was an intentional appeal to sympathy because there were lies told. I've never worked at the union. As much as I am an advocate, I haven't dealt with any issues around sexuality or identity with the union. Again, just dog whistles. And intentionally so, because they're looking for relevancy in a way that they can't have and couldn't have without proximity to Black people. And so it's unfortunate that they would do something so disgusting as to try to pit communities against each other and use leverage like that to find a way into our Black community. I just went to Sinners this past weekend. I know y'all talked about that a
Hey,
little bit
hey,
earlier,
Hey man,
hey.
and
don't
we
talk about this.
can't. I'm not going to do
Jakeen,
any
I'm
spoilers.
so
I'm not
tired
going
of
to
you
do
and
no
your
spoilers. Somebody
analyzation,
mute
man.
Kazim.
Let me watch
Somebody
the
mute
movie, man.
Kazim. Somebody mute
Kasim,
Kazim. But I
Kasim,
want to make
most
sure people understand you have to find the meaning in that you have to be careful about who you invite into your communities because it's what they invite next.
It's a lot of
And
vampires.
so we are making sure that you have to be vetted, and there is no vetting process that will allow a white person to do what they are doing currently. So we have to make that clear. And we also invite other protectors of the community of North Omaha, of these streets that we claim as our own, to come out and support this effort. It's a
Yeah.
community self-defense initiative. We have to understand that we have a right to defend our communities, that our property is not available for anyone to deface, and that the leadership is ours to choose,
Yeah.
and no one has any say over that but us.
And I wanted to jump in because it's not even just on the, it's two issues. One, on the issue of the union itself, we haven't really spoke on it too much, but it hasn't even just been trying to deface. I'm gonna say it's been outright sabotage, like trying to sabotage the union, and your point about wrecking the shop if they're not getting what they want. It has been from what I'm seeing, a feeling of, if I can't have this job, then nobody deserves a union, and trying to shut it down just altogether, which is just crazy to think that, you know, because you get fired from a situation, you just try to blow up the whole thing, and that's just not how to handle that. And two, on the part of protecting the dues, I just want everybody to make clear, because there's individuals who might watch this show who might not be from the Black community, and I want to make clear, when Jakeen says historical, I'm talking about Black Wall Street being bombed because we're building something for ourselves. I'm talking about Redwood in Florida being burnt to the ground for lies because we're building something for ourselves. I'm talking about Black candidates in North Carolina getting killed because they won, because we're trying to do something for, like, it is life or death when it comes to us doing things for ourselves in this community or in this country. So it is
That
that serious.
Yeah, that's why I believe we follow the words of Malcolm X in this moment, that Black women have been the most disrespected people in our communities, and we made a promise not for long, and we're going to take the next step by any means necessary. We are going to protect our space. We have that right, we have that obligation, and so we feel strongly about that. And I also want to say, because it speaks to the delusion of this person, of this antagonist, to think that if Martin Luther King were here today, that they would have any type of agreement with what's happening. That they would be okay with how their words are being perverted. We need to understand how delusional you have to be to think that you can recite Martin Luther King to us as your
Yeah.
way into our community. That's not going to happen.
As if
I'm
you, as
not
if he's
buying
doing,
it.
as if he's doing a nonviolent protest by chalking up the street. That's kind of, I think he was getting at that. For those of you just joining us, 8:05 right now. If you believe in the concept of time, you're now in the second hour of First Guy Omaha in the morning. We're with Brother Jakeen Fox and Brother Qasim Shabazz, and they're responding to some things that's been talked about on Friends of First Guy Omaha. There was a video that came on by an individual that was chalking up the streets on 24th and Lake area. And I tell you what, when I saw Brother Kasim go outside, I thought, man, these people don't know what they're doing. This could be an incident. So any of the monitoring spirits listening right now, don't come to 24th Street with no mess. It could have went all kinds of sideways. And you're right. I think that somebody doesn't understand. Some people are not understanding in some kind of way. What they're that's how far removed they are from the black community on the deuce, that they would even think they can come down there and do that. I know that they, you know, uh, even your own, you're not even concerned for your own safety. I don't understand it, but I think really getting back to the point here is being able to make sure that we are talking to the people who have the issue in the first place, and also Lakeisha Green, who's over there at the union, and the reasons why things are like they are and what's going on. And then this next step, this next thing, like you said, it's not just this stuff happens in companies all the time. A new ED comes in, they clean shop, they bring their team in. Sometimes they do a whole bunch of stuff to shake things up. People are disgruntled, people get fired, they don't like it. We live in a right to work, a right to what's it called, right to work state.
At
Um,
will, at
and
will. Yeah, you can fire at will. We're at will state.
I've witnessed, all the activity here that is definitely somebody who a group of people that decided this was something that was unfair. They went for it, and it blows my mind because I don't, I've been unfairly fired myself. I've never
Man,
even thought about going so far as to, like, you know what I'm saying?
you
Um,
read my thoughts, Paul. Like, come on, man. Like, we've been in similar situations and to try to blow it up. It's like, what you doing?
yeah. I appreciate everybody in the chat. There's a lot of good activity going on in the chat right now. Miss Precious McKesson is in the chat saying no black woman should live or work in fear in this community. I wish a clown would come to my job or home. Baby, I stay ready now.
Mm.
Look, this is how much we love Precious. I know every accent she put on this paragraph right here. Also, she says, "Protect black women at all costs," for sure.
Man, for sure.
Yeah, T. Ren in the chat saying that then he tried to accusing him of using racial slurs as if the black community at large would believe him. That white man is leaving no stone unturned. So he definitely is trying a faux reverse racism angle. Yeah, I actually felt sorry for the dude when I saw it, because I thought to myself, man, he is really disconnected. He is there's some cognitive dissonance, like he's on a whole nother planet of not understanding what's going on here. So yeah, it's tough. I appreciate everybody that's come in there. Kimber says, and sometimes that disrespect is coming from people in our own community, but that's for a later conversation. That disrespect, definitely. Also, Precious says, for so long, black men in the community didn't protect black women of this community. Now it's a new generation of black men who aren't bought and aren't controlled by anyone. I salute y'all.
Mm.
Appreciate
Salute.
y'all. Big time, big time. Fellas, I appreciate you. I want you to go ahead and have the final word on this. We got Brother Senator Terrell McKinney, put some respect on his name, in the wings. We're gonna bring him on and get our Senator Cypher going. But leave us with something. What's next steps for us here as far as the protection is concerned, as far as what we can do, as far as what we need to be doing, as far as protecting women and so on and so forth. Tell us what the next steps are here. Go
Man, we're
ahead.
gonna do that. We're gonna do that off of here, right? But just know, we're gonna do that off of here. I can promise you, man, 1,000% that we'll have some stuff set in place. I already do, but we're gonna do that off of here. I just want the sisters to know that we got them.
Mm-hmm.
That we got them. and we got each other. We got each other, and for too long, this have gone on. You know, so we just here doing what and fulfilling what we've been uh, born here to fulfill as an obligation toward one another, especially our women, our children, and our elders. We are operating in the natural law given to us, instructions given to us by the Creator. In our psyche and our heart, and we hear, like Precious said, not bought, not sold. Do say what we want to say and do.
Word up.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I wanna leave off with I don't have a black boss. I'm my own boss. I don't know
Right.
about Kazim, I
Hey,
think you're your
I am.
own boss.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
so
right.
I want to make sure that we understand that we were invited into the union as organizers and advocates and activists for our community and protectors of our community, not because we are paid to do this work. And that this is our obligation, and we made a promise to Black women that we're going to protect them, and we're not going to break our promise. So there's no compromise in that. There's no negotiation to that. It's a fact. And so with this information, if anyone continues that harassment, they understand our position fully, and they invite that kind of confrontation. So it's not on us to change our position. It's not our responsibility to maneuver some different way in our own spaces. This is the space we've decided to protect, and we've made that promise. I think they need to figure out their own maneuvers, because we're standing firm in that.
Just move around, man. Just move along. Move along.
Appreciate you, man. One more comment I'm gonna get over here because my brother Kethro's in the chat real quick. He says, "I'm a fellow at the union." He's a fellow over there right now. He says, "I still believe in the mission and will continue to focus on my goals there. Musical history has been made on that block. I feel I need to contribute to that timeline."
Man.
This is what it means for somebody Black in Omaha to be up in that building contributing to the legacy. I appreciate you, Kethro. I know that a lot of our friends are from Union. I hope that you're able to really kind of see some of the things that's been going on here. This as the story is unfolding and breaking down. I appreciate that you willing to have some dialogue there. And while you there too, man, protect the Black women in the building for sure. Appreciate you, fellas. We'll have you back very soon, and we'll catch up.
All right. Peace.
Peace.
All right, and while we're clearing the board here, I'll go ahead and bring on our next guest, who's been waiting in the wings patiently. Another protector of Omaha, Nebraska, Senator Terrell McKinney. Put some respect on his name. Good morning. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. How y'all doing?
Peace. Doing all
Hanging in
right.
there,
Doing all
man.
right. Yeah.
I'm a little under the weather. I've been sick. I've been laid up here for the past couple of days. Missing sinners. But I'm gonna get some medicine and go see it this
Man.
week
Yeah.
sometime. How you been?
I've been good, man. Just chilling. I've been
Okay.
great.
Good. Have a chill weekend.
Yeah, I did. I relaxed. I didn't do too much at all, honestly.
Okay. Watch any playoffs? You can catch WrestleMania.
Don't watch wrestling, that type of wrestling. But I watched some basketball.
Okay. We're taking it easy. Have a good Easter.
I just chill. I didn't do too much at all.
Yeah.
Honestly. I was just chilling.
Hey.
Sounds nice.
Yeah, gotta have that balance, gotta have those days of doing nothing, because you definitely are doing the good work. So we appreciate you, and fighting that fight in Lincoln can be kind of stressful. So yeah, anytime you can unwind, hey, you deserve it. So thanks for joining us. Just I guess in general, speaking of the legislature, where are you now as far as fights? Any hearings we got coming up? How are we looking moving forward?
No, we're done with hearings. We're just in all-day debate now. So that's what we're doing. All hearings are done. I got some bills on general file that haven't came up yet, but that's about it right now.
Okay. Well, I'll go ahead and jump into the headline that I actually wanted to speak with you about as far as the Supreme Court ruling, and kind of in connection to what we're talking about today as far as public safety. We know criminal justice reform, trying to get some of our community members back into the streets and out of the system, is a part of that conversation. We do know, again, dealing with the police getting put into the system is crazy side of it, and getting out even crazier. Again, Supreme Court is coming out, Nebraska Examiner ruling that the legislature got it right as far as changes to parole and possible, alleviations to the parole requirements. Can you kind of speak to what exactly happened? What was the Supreme Court ruling, and why is this important? What does this mean?
So the ruling was on LB 50. It was a bill that was passed in 2023 that was led by Senator Wayne. I helped out as well. It was to, make some changes to the parole process to streamline parole and also allow for like geriatric parole as well for individuals who are older in age. What it would do pretty much is it would allow for people to be eligible for parole at an earlier date, depending on their sentence structure. And after we passed it, the director Jeffries of the prisons and Ross Cotton of the parole board, they sent a letter to the AG asking was it constitutional. I think the letter came from the governor, if you want me to be honest. So then the AG ruled, he didn't rule, he opined that it was unconstitutional. So then that held up the whole law, the full law being implemented. So they were going back and forth in court. And then last Friday, the Supreme Court ruled that he was wrong and that the law wasn't unconstitutional. And it's super big because almost 1,800 people now will be eligible for parole through the law change, which should have been implemented a couple years ago. And a lot of people were waiting on it. I've been getting hit up all weekend about it, like when does it get implemented and those type of things. But it's very huge. But it also, how they ruled will allow for us to do more things in the legislature around parole, because the argument has always been we can't do things that are retroactive, which basically means you can't go back and change something that already happened. And with this ruling, it gives us some more flexibility around parole eligibility and those type of things, and allows us to be more creative than we ever have been before.
Man, and so do you think that this would be a path as far as the overcrowding? Again, there's been an overcrowding emergency in Nebraska's prison system, one of the most, if not the most, overcrowded prison system in the nation as far as per capita. And do you think this role will land towards that?
Yeah, I think so. We still got to hold them accountable to make sure they, follow the law, because, state agencies got to have it or not following the law. So we got to make sure that happens. Definitely is a pathway to address the overcrowding situation, because as I said, almost 1,800 people are eligible right now. And it might be more than that currently, because that was in 2023. So it could be more, honestly.
Yeah, and I know, for instance, the geriatrics side of things maybe could have lended itself to helping Brother Ed Poindexter, being released in that situation. So yeah, definitely a big help with that. Paul, you got any questions? I see a few in the chat, but before we jump to that.
No, we can jump to that. Let's go ahead and jump to the chat. I just wanted to just mention, I appreciate, we saw your letter. We saw your response to that. It kind of really broke down some things for me. I appreciate how you broke all the things down, what this means. And just congratulations for you guys, your hard work on that.
Yeah,
for sure. Well, again, along that line, do want to jump into the chat. Sister Kimmer is asking about the budget, and we do know that, of course, speaking of prison reform and overcrowding, they're trying to spend a part of the budget on building new prisons and things like that. Any updates with the budget, how it's looking, and when does it have to be submitted?
The budget isn't looking good. Last I knew, they still haven't balanced the budget. The Appropriations Committee has been going back and forth. They have to get it submitted by day 70. So we might start hearing some more about the budget this week, but they're trying to cut a bunch of things, and it's a mess, honestly. So I'm not sure exactly what it looks like, but everything I'm hearing is bad. Senator Spivey is on the Appropriations Committee, so I get that updates from her. So
okay.
Yeah,
but let's kind of probe into that a little bit. When you say it's looking bad, like, how far is the state from actually going into delinquency or bankruptcy? I don't even know the term, but how far is the state from being in the red, if you will?
So technically, we are in a budget deficit, but we got what I've been told. We got $1 billion reserves. The problem is they don't want to tap into the reserves because they want a lot of it to go to property tax relief. But there is a deficit, and the deficit is growing, and it's growing because I believe in my first or second year, I forget which year, they passed this income tax bill, which kind of like exempted people from income tax or decreased them pretty much. And because of that, we didn't make up revenue that was lost because of that. So ever since then, it's just been going down and down. And we have yet to make up any type of revenue to deal with that income tax change.
Man, there was also a report that TIF is, holding off over $1 billion in taxes that could be collected from these major corporations developing. Do you think TIF has any part to play in this?
I think it all plays a part because although with TIF, people eventually are supposed to pay it back after like 15 or 20 years, still that delay doesn't help today. You know what I mean? Right. So it impacts it as well.
For sure.
What do you think this has anything to do with some of the programs that are being threatened to be taken away? Is our state is it working the same way as like the federal deficit works? Is where they start looking for programs to cut when they're not balanced?
Yeah, they definitely are trying to cut programs, get rid of boards and commissions. They trying to cut it's a bunch of stuff that they think is going to, address it. I really think it's just nickel and diamond people and making stuff seem good, like, oh, we cut this and this and that to help taxpayers. But the honest truth, we shouldn't be building a canal that costs like $600 million. We shouldn't be building a prison that's over budget already and gonna cost over $500 million to build because it's already delayed, and then Trump doing all these tariffs ain't gonna help. So that's $1 billion right there between the canal and the prison that they don't want to bring back into the general fund, which I think they should.
Wow.
It's
meanwhile, you can't buy your soda pop and candy on Snap.
Man.
Yeah.
The feeling when I saw that, the feeling that I got was just like, what a waste of time. Like, what?
They just being followers, I think, because they submitted that waiver to exempt pop and candy, I guess, from SNAP. But I think Arkansas did it first, and they just being followers. Just let's do something to make this seem good, but it's really stupid.
For those of y'all that missed that, there was a headline in the news recently about them making sure that you can't buy pop and candy on SNAP benefits, as if that's going to save. I don't know what they even think. What's like.
I'd be able to buy meat potatoes.
I'd be a loss for words for some of this stuff that's being done, and to know that they didn't even come up with this. This is something they following somebody else doing it too is crazy. Yeah. So in your opinion, and then I guess we got to throw in the fact that they're not legalizing. So hemp and all that stuff is now not going as well, right? I'm sorry, brother. I got foggy.
So they want to basically ban like Delta 8 and Delta 9 and that type of stuff. And then they, medical marijuana passed on a ballot. And the fight in committee is whether or not to allow flower, which the ballot initiative allows. And they don't want to allow it. So that's the fight in committee, is to allow flower. Or not, because they want people, because they have this idea that people just need to, I guess, take like some type of weed pills or like gummies or something, and that's enough. They don't realize that medical marijuana, people want it, honestly, for alternative to using processed medication and those type of things, and they want the natural stuff to assist with whatever they're dealing with. And for some reason, they don't get that. It's not going through their minds, right? They just think people are going to be on the corner just smoking weed. That's really it.
Mhm.
So the reason why I bring it up is because you guys have said in the past that could be where we make up a lot of money if they pass medical marijuana. If they that's the way that we can replenish this budget. And now at the same time that you're giving us this news about the budget, that's also being taken off the table right now. Is that what I'm understanding?
It's not off the table. It's just gonna be they still just trying to figure it out, but it's not off the table because no matter if something passes in the legislature or not, that ballot initiative passed. So right now, medical marijuana is legal in the state of Nebraska. You just
Because
gotta,
the people voted.
yeah, you just have to find a doctor to write you a script.
And
Right.
good luck on that. Okay.
And the issue is in the state, although it's legal, the regulation side of it is still being debated.
Yeah, the regulation side isn't fully baked in a sense.
Right.
And doctors don't, from what I've been hearing, doctors don't know whether or not to write the prescriptions or not. Like,
Yeah.
up in limbo. And the reason for the bills is to try to clear all that up.
Yeah, and I'm sure in lieu of some regulations, there's going to be a little CYA from the doctors as far as trying to limit liability and things like that.
Yeah.
So that's understandable. Okay, definitely did see those roadblocks. And elsewhere in the chat, kind of moving along, Tony Johnson is asking about the African American Commission. Do you have any updates on that? He says, can you summarize? He's actually talking about a specific amendment for the African American Commission. Was hard reading to understand the changes. Can you expound on that?
So that's LB 69. It's Senator Spivey's bill, but I actually gave it to her when we started session. The reason for the bill and what it does is it requires the commission to submit reports on some things because nobody knows what's going on with them up until like people kind of asking, trying to get them to meet in Omaha more. I think it's important for them to meet in the area where most Black people reside. Some people like that and some people dislike that, but I just think, it's no reason for you not to interact with Black people in Omaha, and they haven't. That's really all it does. It makes some other small changes, but that's really the bill. Like, that's really it. It's just to say, y'all need to start reporting more. Y'all need to meet in Omaha a little more, and y'all need to interact with people. That's the gist of it, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, even outside the general public, have you had any interactions with Brother Tim Clark or anybody from the African American Commission recently?
I would say, yeah. I think just to be honest, since he has, took over or became the president, I forgot what they call him. They've been reaching out more to senators and trying to give us updates and things like that, because that's some things we were expressing, like, how do we have an African American Commission that don't come talk to the Black senators, that don't ask what our priorities are, don't try to assist or nothing. And that's been a problem since I've been in the legislature.
Yeah, big time. Okay. Elsewhere, this is something else. Sister Cheryl Weston is touching on the Inland Port Authority. It sounds like she doesn't personally support it. She says, nor should you be funding the Omaha Inland Port Authority. But we've been watching this saga, kind of express why you decided to write the legislation to create the Inland Port Authority, and just can you kind of speak to, where it is right now, what's going on with the business park and other projects?
I mean, without the Inland Port Authority, there would be no oversight of projects and people would just be complaining more, to be honest. You might not like it and it might not be a perfect solution, but without the Inland Port Authority, I would guarantee you that there would be a total lack of transparency about what's going on, and probably people's houses would already be bought. But what's going on right now with the airport park, they're going through a pre-development phase, kind of looking at, what to do as far as the development. There's also a bill, LB 290, which would take that 2-mile restriction off the airport park and just allow it to be developed within the Inland Port Authority area. And the reason for that is primarily all the negatives that's been happening since that project got announced. People saying, like, we don't want to move. We ain't trying to be displaced. Although, in the law, you cannot involuntarily involuntarily displace people, and money can't be used to displace people. But me just trying to react to the people and listen to the people, I introduced the bill to allow some flexibility to say, hey, they could go look over there and y'all don't got to worry about your houses being bought.
Mhm.
Thought it was a, you know,
Reasonable idea.
but even the people who was complaining about that are like, oh no, why are you doing that now? So I'm confused. So
Can't please everybody all the time, I guess.
Yeah, you really can't. So okay, I mean, but as far as whether or not it's moving forward, it's looking like it is moving forward.
it all is moving forward. I mean, the money has already been transferred to the Port Authority for the business park and for the innovation district. And before innovation district is created, there has to be a vision and process where the port will interact with the community to kind of talk through what an innovation district is and what it can be and how the community wants to see an innovation district in our community.
Okay, so there's still some input to be given and some shaping to have with that.
Sure.
Man, take that heat, community. You know, if you have some ideas, it's still time. But another project that does seem like it is a little further along that has been announced. Really, I think we haven't really had a chance to talk to you about it since you have last been on. This $42 million athletic center. There's been a lot of conversation, a lot of pushback. It seemed like a lot of people in the community were skeptical about that. How far along is that? It looked like they were already breaking ground. Can you speak to who's going to be running it? Seemed like the biggest concern. Who's going to be involved with that?
So that's moving as well. And the idea and the purpose and the vision behind the athletic facility is to create a space for North Omaha where our kids don't have to go to West Omaha or be priced out of sports, because that's what has been occurring. I know people feel some type of way about Carter Lake or whatever, or the area, but honestly, it wasn't our first choice or where we would have liked it to be. But it was a space we could get. And when people say like, "Oh, Carter Lake," I'm like, well, everybody be kicking it at the lake on Sundays. So I'm kind of confused. It's okay to kick it at the lake, but it ain't okay for kids to play sports at the lake. So I'm trying to understand that, but I'm trying to listen. But overall, it's moving forward. As far as who will be running it, they're not that far along as far as who be actually running a facility, because they still need to hire somebody to actually run a facility. But it's still being built though.
Is that hiring process going through the city?
Yeah.
Okay. So will this be something under the role like city parks and recs kind of be in control of that?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Maybe we can still contact somebody about the city. You know, if anybody has an idea of who they would like to see run that, any coaches in the community, anybody that's worked in the community as far as athletics go, maybe chime up. I mean, hey, brother Gene Haynes, if you want to come out of retirement, used to be a coach.
He probably focused on that North project.
Yeah.
True. Lots of big projects coming, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I've been as I dig into what's being said on Friends of First Sky Omaha and see all my messages that I get all the time, and just hear what people have to say here in the chat. I often get this feeling that there's good stuff going on, but everybody got a problem with it, and I don't quite know how. Something that you said earlier struck me, because I was just like, well, you can't please everybody all the time. I'm confused the way that you've been saying I'm confused several times in this conversation, several times a day, when I'm thinking, what's the problem with this? What's the problem with that? Like, why? I don't get it.
Yeah. And I understand. So I try to, I understand because, especially growing up and being from North Omaha and being a senator from North Omaha, I understand 100% about people being skeptical about things that are occurring in our community. My only reason for I'm kind of confused sometimes is it be stuff that people say they want at times, or it's just, I don't know if I got the words for it necessarily. It's more so nothing ever can be good, and that's how you feel. Like no matter what, it's gonna be a problem, and I've learned to live with that. Like no matter what, somebody is gonna say something negative. Um, and that's the issue. And I try to share as much information as possible. And I've told myself I probably got to get better at that. But I do try to share information. I think when you say stuff come from unofficial sources, I think people run with narratives and misinformation, and then people just look at that as the gospel when in reality it's not at times. And that's part of the problem. People craft narratives to fit their argument and confuse people on purpose.
Yeah, and kind of my comment on it, I think people allow their skepticism to ruin any possibility of progress that there is. Like the two can be true. Like it can be, you can be right about being skeptical, like, hey, this could be taken over. Hey, this could be something that's just another, performative thing in the community. But don't let that skepticism and that feeling like, yeah, I don't even want to deal with it, or yeah, that's just gonna fail regardless. So I'm not gonna get involved. Like, there are opportunities out there that we can take advantage of.
Yeah, and I kind of even feel like it's even further than that. It's not just people being skeptical. I often feel like it's that misinformation comes from people not understanding the idea, the complete idea. They understand a piece of it, they run with that, and they don't do this diligence of going in and trying to figure out the whole of it and understanding the whole. Some situations are just too big to understand in one bite, and so sometimes I feel like that's some of the issues too. And I mention it this right now because I really feel like this is what's holding a lot of what's going on in North Omaha back. From my perspective, I feel like there's good things happening in everything that's happening. There's also things that could be done better. There may even be some stuff out there that is actually detrimental to us, but it's not usually coming from our community. I feel like it usually comes from outside our community, the stuff that's detrimental. But the stuff that's happening within the community, I feel like when I hear something and right away I'm like, oh, that sounds like it's going to make some help something. It's going to be good, and immediately and because we do this every day, and because we monitor Friends of First Sky Omaha and other news outlets, immediately there's people that are going in on some things, and I got to go back to the beginning and be like, no, actually, this is what's happening with this situation, and now you got to plug that in with your information instead of just having this emotional reaction. So I mention it because I am like I am inspired by you, Senator McKinney. You are a person to me that is takes the time to look at the whole picture first of all, and then you actually act on what it is that you are understanding. And I'm seeing a lot of that not being the popular thing to do. I'm seeing a lot with people around me all the time. They're not, first of all, looking at the whole situation, and second of all, making some kind of positive move, some positive action based on it. So I think it's holding us back, and I want to know from your perspective how we can get that back together.
I think the first is figuring out what we actually want and want to see. That's the biggest, having that honest conversation, and have a full understanding on how whatever we want to see and whatever community we want our community to be, how that can be done in a realistic conversation. That's the biggest thing, because a lot of this kind of just fell sort of in our laps necessarily. Like nobody expected COVID. Nobody expected, millions of dollars to come to the States. Honestly, people were saying when we asked for $450 million, we would probably only get 20. So technically, a lot of this was, let's say, unexpected or a surprise to people. So once it happened, now it's like, okay, what now? And all these, instead of, and I say that because if people had a stronger belief, in a sense, let's say we introduced the Economic Recovery Act and people strongly believed in it as a whole, instead of some people did and some people didn't necessarily, we probably would have had a more united vision on what that would have been. I felt like we talked to a lot of people and we tried to. I honestly was at a meeting every day trying to talk to people and just kind of get like feedback from people, all of it. So I think that piece of understanding what do we want our community to be and how do we want it to move forward is the first step, because everybody has an opinion, and not to say everybody's opinion is wrong, but some we do have to eventually get to a space where we understand like this is where we want North Omaha to go, and this will what we want it to be, not tomorrow, but in 20 years, because we got to look forward. We got to make sure we're building a community that is sustainable and our kids can grow up in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feel that.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. I was thinking right now about the this idea of some, you know, when you brought up the $300-400 million that came into North Omaha that you guys did the Recovery Act, and I thought even with me, I had to wrap my head around that whole thing and what that meant and where it can go and what can be done with it. Then we went through we applied for some of it and went through and we're still going through a process to try to figure those things out. And it is complicated. And it's striking me right now. This is one of the reasons why I feel like people go off of personalities with politicians so much, because they're not you're not really looking at the issues as a whole completely all the time. You're kind of trusting your guy who's saying it this way. And with this being ballot of the bullet season, with the things coming up here as far as these elections are concerned, it's hitting me the reason why I feel like there's so many people distrust Stothard and want something new, want somebody new in. And I'm looking at what's going on with Brother Ewing, and he's coming in with lots of facts and figures, and I'm wondering if people are going to be feeling like they can trust him in that same way. But I'm also seeing our mission here, which is to try to break down these big ideas into situations where people can understand them completely and be better informed. Because right now it just seems like a lot of emotion all the time. A lot of people who are just like Kimmer was saying in the chat, everybody who's feeling real skeptical about things, no trust in the community, and so on and so forth. So I don't know. I think maybe it is a kind of a personality thing. I gravitate towards people who can find the good in whatever situation is there. What if that situation wasn't there? How much worse would things be? And you're right. Like understanding what it is that we want out here. What is it that we want North Omaha to be? Is there anything that's happening right now, in your opinion, that is moving toward this direction that you feel like most people want out of North Omaha, and we're getting closer to that some kind of way?
Not honestly, not too much. I mean, you got different organizations that are doing good things, but as a whole united front, I don't see it, because it's just, and it's more so because people are doing good things in their own spaces, and there's no connectivity within them. Like people are siloed doing good things, and that's the issue. So I wouldn't say that there isn't good things happening in the community. I would say the overall everybody on the same page type of thing don't necessarily exist. Like people are doing a good thing over here, a good thing over here, but it's not always on the same page. If I'm being honest,
It makes sense. That's what I'm feeling. I definitely want to get to the point where we can figure out how we can that needs to be a mission of ours, to like figure out how we can make those connections, connect those things together, and because I agree, I see it all the time. I look everywhere I look. There's good moves being made, good things happening, and if one thing can get with the other thing, then it would be great.
Man. I mean, I just called out thinking of the Empowerment Network situation. Like there's a conversation happening on Friends Up right now about the Empowerment, and maybe you might know about this. Again, Empowerment Network recently received $1 million grant. I think it was a federal grant that they received through the city. But there's some chatter, there's some conversation about, people feeling a certain way about the Empowerment Network getting this. And, while I do agree, the Qasims and the BAAs and the Untamed and those organizations definitely should be getting that level of funding as well. It shouldn't be in lieu of, like, the Empowerment Network, seeing it firsthand, should be getting that money as well. And if that Black organization wasn't, people would be feeling be complaining about them not getting the money. So it is some selective outrage and people kind of complaining about things, but I do think that the disconnectivity in that is a big part of it. Like
But
go ahead.
and it's not to defend them. I know people got their opinions about them, but sometimes it's maybe who else applied for it. That's the first question.
That's my question.
And probably it wasn't nobody else because they didn't know it existed. But sometimes there are federal grants for community organizations that you have to partner with, like a city or a governmental entity to receive. So maybe they saw like it was a grant out there and they applied for it and they got the city to support it, is what I'm assuming. I don't know all the details, but that's you can't fault them for finding money.
Exactly. And that's kind of my point.
I understand people's skeptic. I understand how people do find issue with some of the stuff they do. So I'm not disputing that or saying their opinions aren't invalid or whatever. But if an entity was able to find a grant, I don't know if I could fully fault them for it. It's about, to me, it's about the implementation. How is it going to be used? How is it going to help our community? You know, not everything isn't always bad, but when you make people, to me, like, we can't alienate our people. We got to bring them in if we feel like they're doing something wrong. We got to say, look, brother, I know you got this money, and if you feel like they got a bad track record, say, hey, I have disagreed with some of the stuff you've done so far, but hopefully we could begin a system of communication to where you could use these resources in a better way. Because at the end of the day, they are getting the dollars.
Man.
So
but
you
either know where the dollars are going though. Like people
that's what I'm saying.
Well, the dollars wouldn't be going nowhere if they didn't have them in the first place.
Right.
Right. You don't say somebody's a gatekeeper if you didn't go after the stuff and got shut down by the gatekeeper. You didn't go after the grant either. Like they went after the money. If they went after the money for something, and we know how grants work, they went after that money 2 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like that's Biden administration money they got for that grant. You know, it's like what it's like. Where is the good being done? Where is the, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I'm not saying they just got it. I understand grants like this happen months in advance, so it's not to say they never got it before either. What I'm saying is, some like if people have seen that they've applied for this grant in the past and had a problem with it, then why, just being unbiased here, my hat would be, okay, if I got a problem with the Empowerment Network getting this grant, I'm gonna figure out when the next time this grant come up so I could apply for it.
Right.
So there's at least some competition to where I could definitively say they pick me over them. But I haven't seen nobody else say they applied for it. That's not defending them. That's all I'm saying. Like if we've seen there's been an issue, I feel like you have to be proactive as well and say, okay, this is how we're going to be solutions based and address this issue going forward.
And the last thing I kind of want to say on this though is that I what I feel like about how we go after organizations in this way is, furthermore, like, what are they doing? If they won that money, what are they doing with that money? If they're doing something is it something they're doing is good there? You might not like them or the organization, but what have they done with that money to uplift the community in North Omaha? Like what did happen with it? You might, even if it wasn't perfect, like give some love, give some grace to people that are doing some things, because it might not be perfect. They might be open for you to come and help them, give some suggestions, do it better next time. You know, start with we got something, not that we got nothing. You know, to me, that's what it comes down to. Like, okay, that's here. Let's see what we can do with that. Let's see how we can help them. I might have a better idea. Let's go in. But if you go in with they just been corrupt this whole time, I don't understand how you get anywhere with anything. And you know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
Yeah, and my thing is, if people feel like they are corrupt or gatekeepers, why do people keep meeting with them? Why do people keep sharing that? Like that's where I'm trying to wrap my head around. Like if people feel this way in mass, then why do people lead with them?
Yeah. T Ren in the chat said people think it's secretive when it's right there in the face. Like folk complaining about $1 million awards now from entities that been Olsen action plan for years to 2022. Yeah, none of this is nonprofit organizations. None of this, all this stuff is public record. All like to think that to for me, I've looked into it personally. For me, I have not seen where they're doing a whole bunch of uh, uh talking behind the scenes and not being transparent. They may, as far as the empowerment network is concerned, they may need to speak up a little bit more about what is happening and be on that kind of front. But I've also seen them busy putting their head down doing the work and not having time to go out and tell what they did. You know what I'm saying? Like we try to tell some of it based on our experience, what we would go. And it's not just them. There's how many organizations are in North Omaha? There's so many nonprofit organizations that claim they're doing some work and they'll get some money. We've been in this situation ourselves. We had to fight over crumbs. We battling other little organizations to try to, you know what I'm saying? So to me, that's the bigger issue, bigger picture than that. I mean, at least somebody is making something happen. And I don't, it really does come down to, okay, well, if they got it, then it ain't never going to help nothing. It's never going to do anything. And I don't see that. I don't really see that. I see how much worse would things be if people had not gotten together in a network. We've benefited from the network. You know what I'm saying? We can pull 500 kids in here to say they benefited from the network. So, it's the network aspect to me. How do you bring everybody into the situation where you realize you got a voice here? You can go speak, you can go have a conversation, you can go find out for yourself what's going on. And furthermore, like, you're right, go get it yourself then the next time, or whatever the deal. I'm a little bit of a loss, and I don't want to end it on that, but I do want to bring it out because I feel like it's the thing that's holding us all back. It's holding us all back. You said it. Everybody's doing good work in silos, and there's no connectiveness to each silo. And so, the problem here is, like, how do we connect it all? How can we connect it all? How can we capitalize on who's doing good and who's not? Any final words on that subject there?
Look like made a loss.
Sorry about that. I know we kept you a little longer than we were supposed to.
Look like we lost him. He might be coming back.
Yeah. Yeah. What's your thoughts on that? I appreciate people in the chat going in. Sister Cheryl Weston is saying the city has to approve the partner, and the current administration has chosen partners. So why haven't they been held accountable? People keep meeting with them because what else can they do? Okay. There, you got your back. All right, cool. So yeah, we were just I was just trying to wrap that up by saying what say you on what can we do? What can we do that we can connect all these good works in silos together?
I think it comes back to what I said. I think we got to figure out, what we want as a community and how do we get there. And everybody has a place in our community. That's the biggest thing. I think sometimes we get caught up in, going back and forth with each other instead of saying, like, okay, how can we figure out how to work together? Because at the end of the day, I think I'm assuming, and people could say I'm wrong, but I'm assuming most people that are working within our community, at least one objective is the betterment of our community. So how can we improve our community? And yes, we got to have hard conversations, but also it's us being honest with ourselves and saying, okay, maybe that lane isn't for me. Maybe let's figure out that's for that person. How can I assist and help there? And go from there. I think we all got to have one vision for our community, and we're not a monolith, but we at least got to say we want, at the end of the day, for North Omaha to be here. How we get there and how we attack it might be different, but we all wanted to get here. So how can we at least coexist to get there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think it's too hard of a thing to, you know, agree on some kind of common, you know, we want nice parks. I don't find that, you know, we want jobs and opportunities to build business. I don't think that's something that should be too hard for a mass. You know, it's not going to be 100% of the people 100% of the time, but enough to get some things done. I don't think that should be too hard to get behind. To your point, everybody plays a role. Let's just focus on, you know, the role that we're playing, and then as a community support those who are doing the work. And, you know, might be oversimplification, but I like to try to keep things simple. Let's not overcomplicate things.
I mean, I think it is simple. I think we all kind of want the same things. It's just about each other. Everybody has individual styles of getting there, and it's almost like the petty style clash is what's really stopping everybody from getting together. Because you know, we after the same thing, but you're gonna do it your way, I'm gonna do it my way, and I'm gonna you know, demonize the way that you're doing it because it ain't the way I'm doing it, and a lot of the stuff. You know what I mean? Like definitely nuance. We're bringing that word back. Nuanced conversations. But I appreciate your words on that. I totally agree with you, and I appreciate you coming on, speaking on that. I know that we wanted to catch up with you on some bills and some things like that, but I was really more wanting to hear your thoughts on the ultimate mission, which is for us all to be able to get together and utilize each other's good works in silos and connect, and what you felt that, because I feel like you were feeling the same kind of way I'm feeling about it. So I appreciate you expressing yourself on that. And I guess we'll just keep on trying to find solutions.
Yeah, for sure. My biggest thing is, you know, the empowerment of our people, because the number one reason is because I hate when people complain about our kids and say what they doing and look at them and they messing it up. Well, if we ain't right, and if we ain't together, why we expect them to be together? Why we? So I think it starts with us first. Like, if we want a better community, we can't expect it from the kids first. We got to expect it from us. We got to.
Yep.
When we talk about why can't we do conflict resolution and those type of things, how are we resolving conflicts? How are we resolving our disagreements in a constructive manner and working through them? How are we saying, you know, I might dislike this, but I still could have a conversation with you and we could talk through this? Like, the things we expect of others, we should expect of ourselves.
Word up. Appreciate that. You dropping the mic on that one. Appreciate you, man.
Man, I
appreciate you taking the extra time to hang with us today as well. And you got to get down to the legislature today. Is it day off or
no? It's a recess day. I got some meetings in Omaha, but no, it's a recess day. We go back tomorrow and debate some bills. It's gonna be a long day though. It's our first late night, and then on the first late night they have that LB 89. That's what they call it, Stand with Women bill. It's a crazy bill. I think we start debating that around 3:00 tomorrow. So it'll be a late night and it'll be a heated debate for sure. So yeah, if you
reproductive right?
It's not reproductive. It's more so like, I don't know how to explain the bill. It's a bill that is supposed to be protecting women from. You got to read it. It's more discriminatory than helpful, in my opinion.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of interesting with the bills. Like, sometimes the title of a bill might suggest one thing, and then you get into the actual wording of it, and it's like, this is a shell. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, get you some Idle Vital and, you know, keep your energy up since you're gonna have that late night.
For sure, bro.
All right, man. Appreciate you coming through, bro. We'll see you soon.
All right, thank you,
man. Thank you. Peace and love, man. Enjoy your day.
You too.
All right. Always a pleasure to talk to that brother, for real.
Yeah, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna go ahead and shut it down, man. I'm like I said, I'm under the weather. I appreciate you guys bearing with me with my low energy and fog brain today.
No, I think it was a good conversation today.
We got through it.
Yeah. I think we did some good today.
I hope you guys think so too. Thanks for all the comments. I appreciate everybody who commented today. I'm sorry I didn't get to all of them, but I appreciate everybody that came through. I see Clarice Jackson gives us a good morning. Good morning to you. Yeah, I appreciate everybody that chimed up, man. Good discussion today for sure, and I hope that we clear some things up. And yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get on back under the cover. So you guys take it easy this week. Join us Wednesday. We'll be back Wednesday with another special guest. It'll just be our 7 to 8 o'clock show on Hump Day. So stay tuned for that and some more things coming up, more haps and more all kinds of stuff that's happening coming up this summer in a big way. We got to have a whole kind of summer show about everything that's happening in a big way. So, man, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate everybody who's joined us. And let's go ahead and get out of here. Buddy, you got some words for the people?
Man, I'm trying to think of a statement to kind of sum up what I'm thinking and how I'm feeling. But in general, the idea of collaboration is to find how we can work in tandem. Like, I would keep saying it because it's true. We all we got, but it's enough. There's enough talent. There's enough areas covered in our community for us to find ways to work together to build the future and the community that we all desire. So let's focus on that, man. The skepticism, there's nothing wrong with a healthy dose of skepticism, but don't let it distract you from what you can do. And remember that all you can do is control what you can control, and you can't control what other people do. So
Yeah.
it is what it is.
But we can figure out ways to communicate and get on the same page. I still
Most
don't
definitely.
give that up.
Most definitely. So
Brother Jahi said, personally gave Willie Barney Empowerment Network business proposals for gainful employment and prison intervention. I got ignored. They are a nonprofit hustle talking boxes, moving our money into private money. They are parasites. I don't know, brother. I think we need to have a discussion about this. I think we need to. This has not been my experience and the things that I know and am seeing about what's going on with it. Some of what you're saying, I'm seeing some of that, but we should talk about this and get through it. And more importantly, bro, like let's break that proposal back out. I'm quite sure that there's a way that we can sit down and maybe it's just a communication lack of a communication flaw, or maybe it's something that has to do with what was needed to be concentrated on at the time and low capacity. I know for a fact that a lot of stuff that's going on there is Brother Barney is sitting there doing it a lot himself, and we know how running an organization by yourself can be. So from my experience with him is he's always open to have another conversation about something and reintroduce a thing. Maybe it's just a communication thing that's stopping us. I don't know. I'm willing to put myself out there to be like, yo, let's all sit down on something because I know you got some good ideas. So, and I know that they got some good ideas and some loot for those ideas when they can get it. So yeah, man, let's talk about it. Go ahead.
And I just wanted to add on the Empowerment Network thing. Yeah, I think the important part is we keep talking about the Empowerment Network like it's a individual organization when it's not. It's an organization of organizations. It's an association. It's a network. So I think to get a better understanding of what work is being done, maybe we should, and this is something Paul and I have talked about. And if anybody, I know Sister Tamika Meese, for example, and the North Omaha Community Partnership is a part of the network. And I don't think anybody would disagree or have any argument about the fact that Sister Tamika and NOCP is doing the work. Like they are doing the work. So again, and they are one of the organizations that will benefit from this grant. So I think it's beyond just what Willie Barney and the Empowerment Network is doing. I think we should look at the network as a whole to get a better idea of what we're talking about, because I still don't think that's fully acknowledged.
Yeah. One of many things to discuss in a future date. Appreciate you guys and appreciate all of you. Pop says, what a great show today. Looking forward to Wednesday. Appreciate you very much. Stacey Jean says, great show, fellas. Appreciate you. Clarice Jackson says, feel better, Paul Franklin. I'll tell whoever Paul Franklin is. You could tell me to feel better too. I'm Paul Allen. Appreciate you, Ms. Jackson. She says, go to the doctor if you're still.
Go to the doctor.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to the doctor because it's been lingering and I'm getting nervous. And you don't keep nothing in your chest for too long. Without if it's not coming up, then you need to go ahead and do what you need. And I ain't one of them brothers, boy. I will go to the doctor in a hot minute.
Yeah, man. Health
check everything. Check everything. I don't want to hear it. That's what's up. Appreciate you. Shout out to the Omaha tribe elders for allowing us to be on this land and speak while we're here. Shout out to our elders for allowing us to speak before you, and also thank you for speaking with us. And also shout out to you, the chat chimers, allowing us to speak with you. Appreciate everybody's comments, and believe it or not, man, just remember, for me, everything is super not black and white. Things are super nuanced. I agree with a lot of stuff you're saying. I agree with a lot of stuff a lot of people saying. And there's not one entity or person that I can say I agree with 100% on everything. And you're not going to find that within me either. So we just got to try to find the ways we connect. That's all we got.
That's it.
Appreciate you. And he said, go on to get that Evans win. What you know about a hot toddy, the RG? What you know about it? I'm about to get busy in a minute.
Hey,
yeah, man.
Get well soon, Paul.
Appreciate y'all, man. Appreciate everybody. I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Take care of yourselves. Peace.
By the way, Vanglorious. This is protected by the red